Welcome back to round number 4 of the ASEAN Age Group Chess Championship. So, let's get into the games. Games have started a couple minutes ago, so yeah, let's start with the key matchup of the day. So that's obviously gonna have to be the match between Grandmaster Tu Huangtong and Antonio Rogelio. So, two top seeds of the seniors category, two grandmasters. So d4, d5, knight f3, c6, and c4. Okay, and white goes for the exchange Slav. I mean, I can see the logic to doing this. He just wants to play a very safe position because, of course, the draw as white is okay, but of course he would like to press a little bit. And the best opening to do that from is the exchange Slav. And e6 is it's a little bit of a passive system. There are obviously two main lines here. Bishop f5 is obviously a big move, and there is lots of theory, here. And white will go probably queen b3. This is the main move. And after bishop b4, there are a couple moves. Knight e5 is a move. But bishop b5 is, of course, the line that you go for if you are okay with a draw. Yeah, oops, sorry. Is it here? Yeah, it is this. Bishop takes c6, bishop takes, and rook c8. And basically just leads to an endgame that's, yeah, objectively holdable for black. But, it's a little bit more pleasant because white has a pawn. But objectively, it should be a draw. Well, a6 is the other main move, with the idea that after e3, black goes bishop g4, and this is usually what black does if he wants to play for a win. But e6 is, in my opinion, quite a passive system, and now black gets bishop d6, but we don't really mind this, bishop d3, and yeah, I don't know about agreeing a draw here. I think white is a bit more comfortable now. Like, I think I would play on rook c1, try for knight e4, knight c5. I just like that. Yeah, of course, it's not very much objectively, but I feel like I will at least try to play a few moves. But, okay, I think both players are okay with a draw. I think that's been clear from the very beginning, and that is the result. Okay, so good thing I didn't put a video camera on that game, because that would be disappointing, so to speak. So let's check out the ladies. This is the one that we actually have a camera on. So, interesting, knight f3, c5, b3. Knight f6 and bishop b2. Yeah, g6 is in my opinion the best line against this, and while white plays g3. Sorry, not the only move, by the way. It's possible to develop with e3 and bishop e2, or you could even consider some line like this. And there are some old games where if black doesn't play d5, then white can actually get some very nice play, with good control of the d5 square. But after c4, black's going d5 usually, and yeah, these types of positions, they're actually kind of decent for black, yeah. Queen d8, and okay, black can just develop normally, play f5, and he has a normal position. So g3, so it's going for double fianchetto, and so is black. Then d3, so black plays d5, because maybe white was trying to play e4, so just stop that, why not? a4, and yeah, castles. A4 is... I don't really know what A4 is. It's a bit weird. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would start with castles first, because I think I would want to hit with C4 probably, because I don't see how to hit with E4. Either that, or maybe I'll just castle and go knight D2, and if knight C6, I always have move like knight E5. And we have a normal position with double fianchetto. It's very normal, and later we'll consider hitting the center with c4 or even e4, depending on circumstances. But okay, a4, it's a bit weird, and especially combined with c4, I find this quite strange, because one thing about combining these moves is that cd5 is a lot less appealing now, because of course the b4 square is, it's not protected. And actually, I think black might be able to go knight c6, yeah, and okay, I don't really see the point of white combining a4 and c4. It's just very strange to me. I don't think these two moves work together. But okay, maybe she just wants a position with interesting play, in which case, I guess she's got it. Okay, let's move on to another game. Ooh, this one has been mass exchanges. So we have a Slav, this time no exchange. Yeah, there is a fight this time. Bishop g5, e3, and yeah, d takes c4. We have a very, very standard position here. It's sort of Meran style. And knight e4. This is all very standard. Takes and f5. Interesting. And black is blitzing, so obviously she knows all this in terms of theory. And I think black is already doing okay. Yeah, d takes c5. I mean, even the endgame looks kind of good for black. Yeah, like just take on d1 and then play bishop takes c5. I guess that's what black's thinking about. Does she take on d1 first, or does she take the c5 right away? Because, okay, should take c5, of course, maybe white can play queen e2 and try to keep the queens. So, but of course black has some nice bishops as well, so maybe she doesn't mind this. Maybe actually she doesn't mind this. She just plays something like this and maybe queen e7. And then later on she can think about maybe pushing in the center with e5, e4. And you know, I really like black already. I think white has misplayed this a bit and black is doing well. So that definitely black is won the opening battle here. Okay, let's look at the next one. Uh, okay, we have another very topical line. This is the Scottish variation, Queen f6. Yes, this is a big main line, and Queen f3, this is the main move. And now I think they take, I can't remember how they take, with DC or VC. Yeah, I think both moves are kind of possible, yeah. The D takes e6, you know, something like this, and you know, there are lines where black takes on f3, but as I understand, that's not good because no, white will be able to push these center pawns, so usually black just keeps the tension, and we get playable position like this. Not really an e4 player, so I can't say for sure, but yeah, this is typical play. Okay, let's move on. Next game. Alright, we have another one of these Moscow variations turned into Spanish. Yeah, so the Russians have become the Spanish. It can only happen in chess. H3 and d5. Yeah, I can see why she did that. Because, okay, black was playing queen c7. The idea being, I guess, to stop knight d2, because if knight d2, there would be c takes d4, and there's some issue with this bishop. So, yeah, no knight bd2. And so white plays d5, makes sense. And c4. It's also quite a typical idea. Black's just putting the knight on c5, and bishop d7. So this looks like a very sort of normal uh, Spanish in that sense. Yeah, I mean, one plan for black would be some sort of rook e8, bishop f8, and putting a bishop on g7. It could be one plan. Yeah, and okay, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, come back to this game when it gets more interesting. Let's look at the boys, how they doing. So we have the sole leader of the under, I believe this is the under 18 and under 20 categories combined. And this is, of course, Bagoyo. And he had a very nice game yesterday against Arca. Well, I mean, I don't think Arca would say that. I think Arca would say self-destructed, which is also true. But okay, he is the sole leader, and we will not take away from that. It's okay. There is this bishop b5 check line, and now on d4. So black hits back in the center, and interestingly enough, we have got a position that's reminiscent of a lot of these what do they call these? The Alapin, right? And white, it doesn't really look like a great version of the Alapin because white's lost the light squared bishop, which is often a piece that's quite useful to create counterplay in the Alapin. So yeah, I don't really buy this for white. Maybe white should do bishop e3, which is another normal move in the Alapin, and cd4, and just play knight takes c4, and just play an equal position. But it's clear that black has no problems here. I think as Marco, you definitely feel good about yourself. Yeah, you're sole leader and you have a comfy position as black. Can't really ask for more. Well, let's look at the next game. So these guys are just half a point behind Bakoyo. So they're trying to win this game, obviously. If they win, they might have a chance to catch him. Okay, so yeah, do you want to join us? Come on. Yeah, we have our head of iPads and mobile phones here, Mr. Yeah, okay, Mr. Emran. Okay, I mean these mobile phones and iPads are kind of useful for our broadcast, so yeah, we'll get him to talk about that later because he's the only one in Malaysia, as far as I know, who knows how to do that. So we need to get him on the broadcast. Yeah, we have to get you on the broadcast later. No, I'm getting you. I'm getting you. Okay, so bishop d2. Okay, it's a famous variation of the ground fell, and then bishop e3. I mean, the idea of bishop d2 is that white wants to play e4 because if white plays e4 right away, then it's of course the main line, but black will go bishop g7 and hit with c5 in this structure. So the idea of bishop d2 is that after a bishop g7 e4, white is going to take back with a bishop. So he doesn't have this pawn on c3 that, leads to this ground fell structure. And it makes it a bit more awkward for black to play c5 in a lot of lines. So black usually drops his knight back, and he does. Now bishop e3, oops, sorry, castles, and black hits in the center with e5. And this is still very much theory. You can see both players still blitzing their moves. Knight c6. Again, black started thinking for the first time here. Now knight c6 is correct, and white's still blitzing. Bishop g7, queen exchange, and we get an interesting endgame. Yeah, so of course there's some imbalances here, which is what both players want. Yeah, there is this, of course, queen side majority, which is not that flattering at the moment. But okay, we will see. White plays bishop b5. Okay, he wants to take on c6 and destroy that majority, so black doesn't allow that. And now knight a4. Kind of a smart move. I guess the idea is that if you take, then we are going to take this guy on d7. And I'm not so sure. You can, if you take on b2, I guess he gets trapped. So I guess that's the point. If we go back, then I guess we can just take on c7. So that's probably not very good. And so what do you do? Probably rook a d8 or something. But if you go for rook a d8, then it could be knight c5. And there's a bit of an issue here. And basically what black doesn't want to allow is a position like this, for instance, where there are these nasty double pawns, and this will make it very hard for black to use his majority here. So this is what black needs to avoid. So we'll see what black comes up with, because I feel like this is one of those positions where you should have some specific knowledge. Yeah. Actually, interestingly enough, knight a4 is the first moment he started thinking. So bishop d7 was the move that got him out of prep. So yeah, I'm not sure about knight a4 in that case, but it looks very logical, and we'll see how black responds to this. I feel like white's definitely got a little bit of pressure here, but that's usually the case if you're well prepared as white, right? So it's not something too dramatic if you're the black player. Okay, we have c4 here and d4. This is a big main line as well. Knight c3, d5. Interesting. So I think knight c3 is the main move. There is also the option to play d5 in response to e4. But okay, this is definitely the main move. Bishop b4, e3, and yeah, it's a very solid system. I guess white's going for knight e2, castles, later queen b3. Yeah, maybe try to force him to take on c3. That would be pretty nice. And it's sort of one of these solid structures where black has a bit more space, but white has no weaknesses. And it's just playable. I think white just wants a playable position where, he can make some moves quickly. And that's fair enough. Yeah. I think especially if you meet an opponent who is well prepared, that can be a strategy. But we'll come back to that certainly, because we have another game. We have Arca playing the playing the Catalan. Arca's trying to make a comeback after a bit of a disastrous game yesterday. But that is life. Sometimes you have good days, and sometimes you have bad days, and sometimes you have blunderful days. So knight bd2. Interesting. Yep. I mean, it's typical, of course, but I always feel that it's better to play knight c3 here and then go for these lines with e4. But of course, they have their own challenges. So knight bd2 makes a lot of sense. You're going for queen c2, e4. And here there are a lot of different options. I think bishop b7 is the main move. And after e4, if I'm not mistaken, knight a6 is the reason why knight c3 has become so popular nowadays. Because now actually knight b4 is definitely an idea in a lot of these lines. So white usually hits with a3. Sorry, white usually stops with a3, which gives black this nice tempo to hit with c5. Yeah, because if black had played knight bd7, for instance, then what would hit with e5 right away. But now he's just not in time. Black's hitting the center right away. And okay, it is to some sort of position like this, and if you take on c5, then the knight activates very nicely. And let's say a position like b4, I feel like these type of positions just nothing for black. I mean nothing for white, but some people might disagree. Yeah, I personally have tried to look at this, but I don't really think it gives white very much, to be honest. So we'll see if black goes for that, or whether he goes for something more conventional with knight d7. Well, certainly queen c2 has been played, so we are going down this line. Okay, so white plays rook d1 instead. He's blitzed this pretty quickly. So this is his prep, I guess. And well, I'm not really sure what the idea is. I guess he's trying to wait for knight bd7 before he plays e4, yeah? So he's sort of waiting for to see what black does. Yeah. Because if knight a6, then the pawn is not on e4, so yeah. Alright.
Broadcaster in Malaysia.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Means a lot coming from you. You should join me.
Keep the good job.
Thank you. Come and join. Come and explain the clono. We need to know how. Yeah, we're dying to know how this thing works. So yeah, we'll have you later. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next game. Yeah. So that was our friend, Mr. Amran Tamil. He's an expert in clono and phone broadcasting. Yep. By the way, it's not his fault if some of the broadcasts look a bit weird. That's the fault of the people who make these apps. So go and complain to them. Don't complain to us. All right. We can't do anything. When these apps are shit, we can only make the best of them. That's how it is. Yeah. So let's see what's going on. We have another all Vietnamese matchup between Nguyen Quoc Hai. I will stop trying to pronounce these names. I'm butchering them so bad. But okay, e3 bishop f5. Okay, this is a line, yeah, and I believe that the usual way they play here is they play c takes d5, and after c takes d5 they go queen b3, which, as I understand, usually forces black to go back to c8, because this is the only real comfortable way to defend these guys. And okay, it leads to some sort of kind of exchange Slav type positions. Well, it's kind of solid for black. Sorry, it's kind of solid for black, but yeah, it's kind of solid for black, but it's an exchange Slav here, so you kind of expect that. And I don't think there's. I mean, white has a little bit of a pull, and sort of a risk-free kind of pull, but not very much. So if you're more ambitious, then you probably want to go for one of these main lines. And of course, this line has been known since the beginning of time. This is not the main line, by the way, but it's one of the most played moves. Yeah, you play e3 and knight h4 like this, and queen b3, very standard. Queen b6, and now knight takes g6. And basically, it's one of these positions where white has the two bishops. Yeah, and he's trying to claim that the bishops are pretty good. But at the same time, black's position is very, very solid. And maybe black can try to use the h-power to his advantage later on in the game. So it's a very, very classic line. Both sides castle. And now black takes on c4. It's a very sort of solid play. And he plays e5. And now rook f1. So white's got... In my opinion, I think white has got a little bit of a pull. Yeah, because of these bishops. I'm always a bit biased towards the bishops because, I love bishops. Everybody knows that. And I think white's play is very, very easy. He can play rook a d1, and later on he can think about taking on e5. Yeah, bishop can maybe come back to c1 if necessary, and then later push e4. There are a lot of ideas for white. So I actually like this quite a lot for white. But of course, black's position remains very solid. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, let's move on to the next category. Alright, we looked at the boys, let's look at the younger boys. That didn't sound very right, so I will just hope that nobody takes that out of context. No. Okay. Now f3, a6, c4. Okay, so this is Shen Heng, one of our rising stars of Malaysian chess. There are many, but it remains to be seen who actually, will survive the test of time, because I think that's the issue with our Malaysian players. Many of them are very strong and talented, but they eventually quit. And if you can avoid quitting, then you will be successful in chess. That's how it is. Yeah. I mean, it's just my opinion. It's a bit controversial, but it's my opinion that if you play enough tournaments, that you can become FIDE master. I say this as a FIDE master myself. Like you can have no talent or anything, but if you play enough tournaments, you will just get it at some point. So, okay, we have a hedgehog position. Yeah, yeah, and obviously if you're a woman, it's even better. You can be a WGM if you play enough tournaments. So that's nice. Yeah, just by virtue of playing enough tournaments. You don't need any special talent or special skills or anything, or special prep, just to play enough games. You get it at some point. Okay, to get higher than that, maybe to reach the 2400s, okay, then maybe it's a bit different. You need your prep to be in order, yeah, and everything. Yeah, you have to actually have some strength, but below that, I think you should be able to get it. So, yeah, hopefully more of these kids stay in chess for longer. But we have a very interesting sort of headshot. Black has brought the bishop to c7, so the threat was to play d5. Yeah, and so white plays g3 to stop this. I'm thinking what happens if d5 anyways. So, firstly, it's impossible to play e5, which is an important detail. Uh, So there are a couple ways to do this. We also can't get the move c5 in, because another typical way of meeting a move like this is to play c5 like this, but it doesn't seem to work. So I guess white will take twice at d5. No, I was trying to think whether this makes any sense. Something like this. It would be something that would be at the back of my head at least. King g1, something like that. And I guess there will be no perpetual. I would be surprised if there is a perpetual. It's white king is coming to e1, I guess. But okay, yeah, okay, maybe it's a bit too much. There's no real compensation. He can probably just go back, yeah, like bishop f2 or something. So, yeah, okay, this is maybe a bit too much. But it'll be something that I'll be at least a little bit concerned about. Oh, maybe the line continues, yeah, some sort of check like this, and yeah, if you go here, then there's knight d5, so maybe there is some, version, there is some point to doing this. Maybe the computer will laugh at me. I'm sure he will. No, he won't. He actually, he thinks it's decent actually to do this. So what should I do after d5? Apparently here, it's better to play knight takes d5 because I guess things are better defended here, and the knight can't go to g4, which would be, black can't bring the knight to h5 or to g4 to get some tactics here. And here it just doesn't seem to work very well. Yeah, queen takes f3 and king f1. And yeah, there's no real great follow-up here. So I think definitely white is doing well. So d5 is probably a bit premature, which means black probably should wait and play a move like maybe rook e8 or d8. And, take it from there. But if black can't play d5, then certainly white can. White should have a very decent position and a very comfortable game. So, but okay, it's a headshot, so you can never say for sure. Alright, let's look at another game. We have Austin Weibin Chia against a much higher rated opponent. And he's going for a knight off, bishop g5. I like this choice of opening with bishop g5 because there are a lot of forced draws here, which is good when you're playing someone who is about 450, 400 odd points higher rated. Is it 400? I can't count. I can't do math. It's almost 500 actually. Almost 500. It's like 490 points. 481. Yeah. 489. Goodness, I can't count. So f4, bishop e7, queen f3, knight bd7, and yeah, this is our theory. G4, famous line. H6, bishop f6. H4 still prep. You can see is way in prep. Both players are way in prep, and they're still blitzing. Queen c5, rook d2. They all know their stuff. That's why I was saying it's a good line to play when you're playing someone who's higher rated, because you can blitz a lot of these moves out, and this is very nice because it's not a battle between a 1700 and a 2200. It's a battle basically between two 3500 rated engines, and I think that's a much better balance of, it's a much more fair balance of power compared to a 500 rating differential. So b4, and is this theory b4. Okay, so it relates rook d4 relatively quickly, so this is still prep, and after thinking for a long time, black plays rook f8. And I guess the idea was, of course, to play b4. So we'll see how this goes. So the queen is trapped for the moment, which forces black to play f takes c4. Okay, so let's try to work this one out. If we take on c5, this is the obvious try. He's going to take on f3, so he's hitting the bishop. But this doesn't seem to work that well, because if we take on b6, he now takes our knight. And, well, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, it's not such a clear position, yeah, because d6 is hanging. But maybe black can get a move like bishop f3, and in this way he can protect his pawn tactically. Yeah. And maybe if he can do that, then he'll have a good position. And rook f6 is coming, so I'm not so sure about this. So this is one option, but I think black should be doing okay here. What other options do we have? So obviously we have this move, knight takes c4. And the queen will run, I reckon, somewhere to f... it probably has to go to f5. I don't see where else to go. And now... And now what? That is the question. Knight d6, he can just play rook takes d6, so... That would be a disaster. Oh, we're pinned at the moment, so we might want to start to... he's threatening queen takes... Is he threatening queen takes f4? He's not threatening queen takes f4. So maybe we should move the queen, because I want to renew the threat of taking on d6. Because I can't see how I can do it, because I can't obviously do this, because of many reasons, I think... Actually, wait a second, is this possible? So my idea is, of course, if you do this, I will have this, and then I have, like... I can move the queen with a good position. Or I can even, like, take on f5 for good position. So, bishop takes e4, queen takes e4 have to be the two moves, right? Now, queen takes e4, I think I have this, and taking here. And as far as I can see, this seems to be pretty decent for us, yeah? Because, I mean, this pawn on e6 is going to hang. Yeah, and if you go something like this, I have bishop g4. What am I doing? Here's king c7. So maybe this is... yeah, maybe this is not so good. Yeah, king c7 is trapping the rook, so maybe not this, yeah? Okay, so maybe this is not so good to take on d6. Now maybe we move the queen. But then maybe he can go knight d5, so... it's always the question, yeah, what to do about this. Yeah, so it's all these lines that he has to work out right now over the board. And it's not an easy or pleasant thing to do. But he has to get it right. There's no other way. Now let's try to figure this one out. What can we do? So, one move makes sense. Something like this, maybe. Because here, actually, I have renewed a lot of threats. And I'm not really worried about this because it's just one check. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. It's pinned right now, so I have to do something. And he has this move, but I was thinking to sack it. I'm not sure whether this makes sense, but I was thinking to sack something like this, which could be, of course, very bad, especially because I don't see a response to king b8. So maybe this is no good after all. Okay, so maybe that was a bit too much. But then what do we do if this seems kind of okay for black, no? Yeah, this is definitely okay for black. So after f takes e4, what other options do we have? We can move the queen right away without taking that pawn. That makes also a lot of sense. So maybe something like queen e3. So now you can't do any counterattacks because, you know, trying to be smart is just going to look very dumb. So he has to move the queen. That's for sure. And now we have options. Knight takes e4, as we have established, is pretty bad. So, at least it's not good for white. So what do we have? We have this as another option, right? And now b6 is hanging. So black has to do something about this. What can he do? Taking seems to make sense. Knight d5 also seems to make sense. Let's choose one and have a look at it first. Let's say we take on d6. I think exchanges should be what black's going for. So knight d5, for instance, here. And what happens? Well, we could move the queen, for instance, but we could do something like queen c5. I'm not so sure. Because I'm not super convinced about a line like this. Okay, something like bishop d5, and do we really have a nice follow-up here? not so sure about that. Yeah, like if we give a check, he's just going to go to B8. And do we have anything here really? I don't think so. I mean, the line goes on. The line goes on. Yeah, but he's going Rook C8, right? If we do this, then I guess just Rook C8. So yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it that much. And sacrifices I think also run into him with like Rook C8. And then later on, we might run into some ideas like this. And Black's got his own threats as well. So okay, this is not easy. I don't know. The lines seem to look very good for Black. So I don't know. Maybe White can figure out something that I'm not seeing. But as of now, I don't know. I seem to like what Black is doing. Yeah. Okay. He's thinking, so we'll leave him to that. Yeah, we'll leave him to that. Okay. What else is there? Okay, the other games are not broadcast. We'll go back to our board 1 of the under 16s. And we have... Yes, we have this line that we saw yesterday. But it's a more active way of playing for Black. More active, more risky. And... I don't know, less correct, I would think. Normally Black doesn't play e5 so quickly. But it's possible to do that. Queen e2 and knight e4. So clearly he's well prepared. I feel like these lines you can really make them work if you but they are very forcing, so it's not really my cup of tea. Okay, but anyways, Queen e2 was played and like blocks the bishop d7. And okay, I don't know what to comment about this because this is all clearly prep. And here suddenly Black stops, which I think is a strange moment to stop. I don't know, maybe bishop b3 was less common, maybe he was looking at castles mostly. But it makes sense, so he probably should have checked it. Anyway, bishop e7 was played. Because I feel like if Black doesn't do this correctly, he could easily end up in a position where that IQ piece is just a weakness for the long term, and it's very unpleasant to play these type of positions against higher rated players. You can see White is the higher rated player, and by quite a bit, right? So if he doesn't play correctly, this is going to be a big weakness actually. So Black plays bishop c6. I don't know. I feel like this is the thing, right? Like when you're playing some of these kids, obviously they're gonna come very well prepared, but after their preparation finishes, they're fair game. Like I feel very confident that I can outplay them in my lines. Yeah, once their prep ends, because they don't know the lines. They can't know the lines as well as I do. Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of these things is like, how long I've been playing these lines compared to you, right? So I have experience as well. And I think somehow Black, I don't know what Black has been doing. Just White could move the queen away, like queen c2 or queen d2, and then later on play knight d4. I kind of like White's position, but maybe I'm biased because I always like White in these type of positions. Yeah, but okay, we'll see. I feel like Black is probably going to get squeezed. That's my read on this game. Okay, any other developments? Should we go back to the ladies? This game has been going very slowly. We left it at c4, and suddenly both players are taking lots of time on simple moves, which is strange. Knight c3, yeah. Black plays knight c6, what else? And knight b5. What is this? I don't understand knight b5. I mean, my first instinct is just kick the guy, or kick that knight back all the way to like c3, yeah? Because surely she didn't do this to play like knight a3. But then she didn't do this to play knight c3 back, surely. So I'm trying to figure out what she's trying to do. Is it cd5 like this? But then I can just click back ed5. And again, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to go back to c3. Which kind of defeats the purpose of your whole play. And I think cd5 is even a good inclusion for me. I mean, inclusion for Black, yeah. So I don't get knight b5. It's weird. It's this whole play of White. It's very strange today. Yeah, I don't know. Black is asking the same question. He's like, "What are you doing? I'm chasing your knight back," and I want to see how White responds to this because I don't see why she would do this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so let's go back. This is weird. So Black has taken. Oh yeah. This did not happen. This did not happen. So White took back. Rook takes c1, obviously. And then bishop takes f3. That's what happened in the game. And g takes f3, I guess. And looks quite drawish, no? I mean, firstly, e6 is hanging, so you gotta play like king e7. Because you don't want to do this, because maybe you'll get in trouble, yeah? But, okay, king e7, and now I guess white will play f4, and yeah, shake hands and draw. There's not much to say. Oh, maybe you start with rook c1, why not? Rook c8, and then f4, and agree draw. I have a feeling they'll play on for a long time, but I mean, it's going to be a draw for sure. Let's go on. I think black doesn't really mind a draw, but I feel like if I had a position like this, I wouldn't take on f3. Personally, I mean, okay, it's not. This did not happen. I mean, a position like this, I would not take it. I would not have taken on f3. Yeah, it's just sort of. I just feel like we're letting white off a little bit easily. But maybe what she didn't like is this. Okay, yeah, I can get behind that. Right. She didn't like that. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so she decided just to take the draw. It's okay with a draw in black against a player about her rating, just a little bit lower rated. And I guess White has to agree to it. Yeah, after getting up prepared all the way, which is life. Okay, let's move on. See if there are any other interesting games. Okay, there's a interesting structure here. So we have a Karo Khan, knight to f6 variation. This is all the rage now. Queen c2. This is I still remember that once upon a time this was a weird variation that White used to play. Some guys like Tiviakov were the only guys playing it, and then now this is the main line. So what do you know? He was right after all. Tiviakov is right about a lot of these lines, actually. He was playing the bishop b4 check line of the Catalan way before it became fashionable. So, yeah, he's always been ahead of the curve when it comes to, openings, which is, I think, where you want to be. You want to play an opening before it becomes fashionable. Yeah, because then when it gets fashionable, then you've got lots of experience playing it, which is, it's going to be big. It's okay, it's a position where structurally white is definitely for choice. Yeah. It's got a very nice queenside majority that's about to get going with b4. And I don't know what black has to show for it. Yeah, that pawn is gonna go. Yeah. Maybe black needs to try to get some sort of quick play like queen d6 or something. But to be honest, I don't really believe this. It's hard to believe, yeah. It's really, really hard to believe. So I guess we just play rook d1 here. Yeah, and then, okay. And then we take it from there. But at least black has stopped v4 here though, maybe. So maybe, do we have anything better here? So I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know. b4 is not an option because there is no pin. There is no back rank issue, unfortunately. So I mean, the plan I was thinking about is to do this, but the problem is that there is, firstly, rook d1 you can even take, but also there is no back rank issue here, yeah, because king h7. So this is not going to work. So, no, he plays bishop e6, but this cannot be. This cannot be, come on. No, white is doing well there, for sure. So, yeah, I think maybe she had tried something like this. Then I don't know, I like white in any case, so. Yeah, queen d6. Yeah, queen d6 was better. But bishop e6 is, I don't know, I find it a bit weird because, there are options that you can take now, right? F takes e6 and, maybe even play like, you can't play b4 because he takes, yeah. Was it that clear? Maybe I do play b4 and then go for something like this and rook d1. And my queenside majority is going quite quickly. Queenside majority is quite nice. Now maybe this might be a little bit more pleasant for White, but maybe it's not that much here. Because obviously the idea is that if you do b4, she wants to do this and take c4. So this is not possible. So maybe we just have to take on a6 and play that. Yeah, which is not... I mean, it's not giving us much, but... it's one of those lines that even though it looks good, it's not that much anyways. So, yeah. Okay, let's move on to something else. Yeah, I think most of the games are still in progress. So, okay, there's been some progress here in this Pakoyo game. He took on c5. I feel like White is okay with a draw, funnily enough. And this gives me this impression that White is okay with a draw in this game. Which... I don't know why he's okay with a draw because he's a high rated player and he's a point behind the leaders and he has white. So why is he trying to play for a draw? It doesn't make any sense to me. But okay, they're kids, so take it a bit easier on them. They're strong kids, so I expect them to be, to be more ambitious, right? Like, these quick draws are for old men to do, not for kids. So, yeah, okay, at least they're still playing this position, so I wouldn't criticize them too much. They like it do a lot of things. You can play like Rook a d8, for instance. Yeah, I don't think Knight g4 does all that much because you can go back to h4 and f2 seems to be protected pretty well at this point. Oh no, maybe we can. Yeah, and then maybe he's gonna kick us with h3, so probably not this. Okay, just like Rook d8 looks quite nice for us. I don't think we should be worried about these double pawns because, of course, we will have some very nice pieces. So, yeah, I actually think Black is very comfortable here, and yeah, we'll see. Okay, so I think now most of the games are, having paused for a while. I mean, there haven't been that many developments, so maybe we'll take a quick break and we'll be back in about 10-15 minutes or so, alright?